Welcome back to G-Fun Facts Online. Today we are going to dismantle one of the most persistent images of the prehistoric world. When you think of the Cretaceous period, you almost certainly picture giants. It is the age of the Tyrannosaurus rex, the Triceratops, and the colossal titanosaurs that literally shook the earth with every step they took. We are conditioned to view this era as a time where evolution was obsessed with size, pushing biological limits to the maximum. But in the shadow of these leviathans, a quiet revolution was taking place, one that was measured not in meters, but in centimeters. For decades, paleontologists have been wrestling with a specific puzzle known as the Cretaceous Miniaturization Enigma. The problem is this: while most dinosaur lineages were trending toward larger sizes, certain groups inexplicably shrank. Until very recently, our best explanation for this was something called the island rule. This is a standard biological principle where animals isolated on islands tend to dwarf over time to survive on limited resources. The most famous examples of this in the fossil record were the dwarf dinosaurs of the late Cretaceous Hateg Island in Romania. For a long time, these island dwarfs were the poster children for small, herbivorous dinosaurs in Europe. But a groundbreaking discovery in the red clays of Burgos, Spain, has completely shattered that simple narrative. We are talking about a new species named Foskeia pelendonum. This was a dinosaur no bigger than a house cat, yet it lived millions of years before those famous island dwarfs. Its discovery does not just add a new name to the registry of extinct species, it forces a total rewrite of the evolutionary history of herbivorous dinosaurs in Europe. Let us dive into the details of this discovery, which begins at the Vegajete fossil site in the Castrillo de la Reina Formation of northern Spain. This is a rich, early Cretaceous bed, where researchers have spent years excavating the remains of massive sauropods and spinosaurids. But among these giants, they kept finding something odd. They found tiny, delicate bones that looked like they belonged to a juvenile of a much larger species. These fossils were nicknamed the Vegajete ornithopod, and initially, everyone assumed they were babies. In paleontology, finding small bones is usually a clear indicator of young animals. It is a logical assumption. But Dr. Fidel Torcida Fernandez Baldor and his team from the Dinosaur Museum of Salas de los Infantes decided to look closer. They performed a detailed histological analysis. This involves cutting into the bone to study its microscopic structure. What they were looking for were lines of arrested growth, or lags. Think of these like the tree rings of the dinosaur world. These lines mark distinct pauses in growth, usually on an annual basis. If these animals were babies, the bones would show rapid, continuous growth. Instead, the analysis revealed that these specimens were late subadults and fully mature adults. These were not babies waiting to grow up. They were finished growing. In early 2026, the team formally named the animal Foskeia pelendonum. The name itself is a poetic nod to its nature and history. Phos comes from the Greek for light, referring to its lightweight build. Ske comes from Voskein, meaning to forage. And pelendonum honors the Pelendones, the ancient Celtiberian tribe that once inhabited the region. So, what did this animal actually look like? Imagine a creature standing roughly 30 centimeters tall at the hip and measuring about 50 centimeters in length. It was undeniably tiny. Yet, its anatomy was anything but simple. Dr. Marcos Becerra, a co-author of the study, noted that miniaturization did not imply evolutionary simplicity. In fact, Foskeia possessed a skull that researchers describe as hyper-derived. This means it was highly evolved and specialized, distinct from the generalist skulls of early ornithopods. Foskeia had evolved a robust cranium with fused premaxilli, which are the bones at the tip of the upper jaw, and it possessed unique, procumbent teeth that jutted forward. This dental apparatus suggests that Foskeia was a specialized feeder. It was not just nipping at soft leaves. It was likely shearing through tough, fibrous vegetation that other small herbivores could not process. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of Foskeia is its locomotion. The fossil record provided a rare gift: individuals of different ages. This allowed scientists to reconstruct its growth series, or ontogeny. The study revealed that hatchling Foskeia walked on all four legs. However, as they matured, their hind limbs lengthened disproportionately, and their center of gravity shifted. By adulthood, Foskeia was a biped, running on two legs. This speed and agility would have been its primary defense against predators in a world filled with massive carnivores. This brings us back to the miniaturization enigma. Previously, small ornithopods in Europe were almost exclusively associated with the late Cretaceous, roughly 70 million years ago. That was a time when Europe was a fractured archipelago of islands, leading to the theory that dinosaurs like Rhabdodon and Zalmoxes were classic examples of insular dwarfism, large animals that shrank because they were trapped. Foskeia throws a massive wrench in this timeline. It lived during the Barremian-Aptian ages, approximately 120 to 130 million years ago. That is 70 million years before the Hateg dwarfs. Furthermore, the Castrillo de la Reina Formation was not a tiny, isolated island. It was a vast, fluvial floodplain system connected to larger landmasses. If Foskeia was not shrinking due to island confinement, why did it get so small? The answer likely lies in niche partitioning. Foskeia was not a failed giant, it was a successful master of the undergrowth. By evolving a small body size, it could exploit food sources that the massive sauropods living alongside it could not reach, or simply would not bother with. In an ecosystem dominated by multi-ton browsers, being small allowed Foskeia to thrive in the dense, cluttered environments of the forest floor, acting as a ground cover grazer. To truly understand Foskeia, we have to look at the botanical context of the early Cretaceous. This era was the dawn of the Cretaceous terrestrial revolution. The plant kingdom was undergoing its most significant transformation in history, the rise of angiosperms, or flowering plants. For millions of years, the world had been dominated by ferns, cycads, and conifers. But in the Barremian and Aptian ages, the first flowering plants were radiating rapidly. They were colonizing disturbed environments along riverbanks and floodplains. Foskeia lived right at the heart of this botanical explosion. Its unique shearing teeth may have been a direct adaptation to this new menu. While giant sauropods continued to rake in high quantities of gymnosperms, tiny Foskeia might have been one of the first dinosaurs to specialize in eating the lower-growing, nutrient-rich, but perhaps fibrous early flowering plants. The ecosystem of the Castrillo de la Reina Formation was vibrant and dangerous, and knowing the neighbors helps us understand the pressure Foskeia was under. It shared its home with Europatitan eastwoodi, a towering sauropod named after Clint Eastwood, because The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was filmed nearby. It lived alongside Demandosaurus, a ribachosaurid sauropod with a whip-like tail that is related to African species, proving that land bridges existed at the time. There were Spinosaurids, large, fish-eating predators that prowled the river systems, and Arcanosaurus, a terrestrial varanoid lizard that Foskeia might have competed with or even evaded. In this land of giants, the small size of Foskeia was its superpower. It allowed it to hide, to scavenge high-energy food, and to reproduce quickly. But the description of Foskeia provided one final, stunning twist regarding its family tree. When the researchers ran a phylogenetic analysis, Foskeia did not just sit next to its European cousins. The analysis recovered Foskeia as a sister taxon to Muttaburrasaurus, a famous dinosaur from Australia. This connection is profound. It suggests that the group to which they belong, the Rhabdodontomorpha, had a truly global distribution early in their history. It implies that the ancestors of these dinosaurs migrated across the supercontinent Gondwana before it fully broke apart, spreading from Europe to Australia, or perhaps vice versa. This reshapes our understanding of the clade Rhabdodontia. Previously, we thought this group was a strictly European late Cretaceous phenomenon. Now, thanks to Foskeia, the group is revealed to be an ancient, widespread lineage that was experimenting with body size long before the islands of Europe even formed. In conclusion, the discovery of Foskeia pelendonum is a powerful reminder that in paleontology, biggest is not always best. For a long time, the narrative of dinosaur evolution has been biased toward the colossal, the fierce, and the spectacular. But evolution is just as active and innovative at the small scale. As lead researcher Dr. Paul-Émile Dieudonné noted, the future of dinosaur research will depend on paying attention to the humble, the fragmentary, and the small. Foskeia solves the Cretaceous Miniaturization Enigma by showing us that small size was not just a desperate reaction to shrinking islands. It was a proactive, successful evolutionary strategy that allowed dinosaurs to conquer the undergrowth of a world that was bursting into flower. This chicken-sized shearer of plants has filled a 70-million-year gap in our knowledge, connecting the giants of Australia to the dwarves of Romania, and proving that even in the shadow of titans, life finds a way to be small.